It's okay. So I think we just chat today. I mean, we have quite a bit that we haven't like discussed. We haven't like chatted in a while, just you and me, George.
Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
minute because
It's
last week
been
I had
a
my
hot minute.
fall. My fingers are recovering. You don't want to
Yeah.
see them up close, trust me.
Ugh.
But funny story. So I had like band-aids on all of my fingers, and then I
Mm,
arrived to Dubai for an investor meeting with
yeah.
this large VC fund. And I was
Okay.
meeting the founding partner there. And then I walk in and instantly she's like, "Oh, like how did this happen?" I was like, "I was rock climbing." And then she said, "Oh, really? I'm a rock climber myself." And then for the next like 20 minutes, she was telling me about her rock climbing, where she usually goes to in the States. She usually goes to like the Grand Canyon and stuff. And
Mm.
honestly, that like helped build up the conversation. It ended up being a very, very productive meeting. So
Oh
honestly,
my
there's ups and downs, and there's positives even to this kind of situation.
God. Mm. That's how you get in. Like everybody else, they're like, "Oh, what's your pitch deck?" Whatever. No, it's rock climbing. That is the key key
Exactly.
differentiator. Oh my gosh.
Which is,
Mm.
I mean, that's good. That's how you do it. So
Yep. It's so true. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting how I don't know, like, so do you use these like events as like to blow off steam for working at like your company, or is it just like part of the like it seems like your week is very packed with both work but also like cool
and
events.
events.
Yeah.
Great question. Yeah, like honestly, I try to multitask um, as much as possible because at the end of the day, you need to have a work-life balance. And the good thing about us, like Gen Zs, we don't really have like a family yet, so it makes sense to just like go out, explore, do fun stuff with your friends. That's a work-life balance to me.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you so like on a given day, like how do you find the balance though? Like that's just kind of interesting to me.
So I don't have a set schedule, honestly. I've
Okay.
realized there's like too many unpredictable things.
Mm,
Basically, I'm always online. Like
yeah.
even when I'm up in the mountain, I try to make room for calls. I had two calls during that hike and then the climb. One of them literally up top, like
Uh-huh.
maybe 5 minutes before I fell down. So the grind is just like it just doesn't stop.
Yeah, that's very true. It's like for me, because I'm, largely in Thailand where I don't really have like social obligations, right? Like I just kind of stay home and I have to find a good time to work and a good time to not work. Like I actually set the limits.
So you
Um,
have a set schedule, like till a
yeah,
specific hour you're working, and
yeah.
then
Obviously, it could be adjustable. It's still fairly flexible, but I have found that like if you don't have, for example, like a morning routine, at least for me, it just kind of makes the whole day like really tiring, right? I don't know, that's just me. It's like a whole thing, but I guess it might be dependent on like what you're doing throughout the day. So,
yeah, I
it's
have
like
very
um,
ADHD co-founders that's diagnosed as well.
okay.
So a set schedule is not exactly easy to come by, and honestly, I like their rhythm more. I'm not sure. I might get diagnosed as well. Let's see, because I like their schedule, so I feel like I'm also more on that wave where you don't have a set like time frame for anything.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because like how they I don't know, they just like corporate makes it such that like that's not possible. Maybe it's going to change with like our generation, but I don't know.
Mhm.
Like even though there's like more work from home, it just feels like okay, now there's just no off button, right? Like you have to set
Yeah.
the limits, but I guess it's culture too, right? If you have your team and they're all like, okay, we can go and like spend this time to go rock climbing, then it's fine. But if you have like a boss that's like a boomer, that's like, no, 9 to 5 every day, even on Saturdays, right? Like then you can't really do it that
We've
way.
taken some calls like while heli skiing, while they were like lifting us on the helicopter and dropping us off in like a remote mountain, just as long
Mhm.
as there was internet. So yeah, I'm really on that side of things. I did have a question to ask. You were talking
Yeah.
about like your work schedule. I'm curious, what's the work process for your company? So, tell me, do you have a team, and then how do you manage them? Are they either remote? Like, do you have any weekly updates, or do you try to keep the calls short? What's the schedule
So,
like?
yes, I do have a team of four, including me. I could probably list out the team members, but essentially we have two people that are not me. Okay, two people that are more front facing, and then two people that are more product facing, right? So I'm more of product facing because of design and all of these other factors. But we have people that go and interview, and then we have people that go and talk to people, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have this other guy. He codes not everything because I code quite a bit, but we like kind of divide the work. So yeah. And then in terms of daily or weekly meetings, we don't have daily meetings because I don't really see the value in those. like
Unless it's for a technical team, I feel like a
yeah.
purely technical team sometimes needs more updating just to be on the same page than kind of a business and technical team meeting
Yeah.
together.
So for the technical side, something that like I've been doing is just more like texting because I feel it's more like performance in a sense. If you talk and you're like mentioning all these things, unless there's something that's very hard to like really grasp in the code base, it's easier to just like say, oh, I don't know what this code base snippet does, and then someone explains it, right? Like on a
Mm,
text. Because you
mm.
can always refer back to that and it's just easier to like mark over time. I personally hate Slack. I use Discord like a lot. So our whole team is on Discord. Like we just, use all of the tools there where you can like make meetings with Discord, you can make events with Discord, you can text about different things that are, based off their channels. Um, and then we do have like a weekly meeting, but we're still figuring out like how do we get rid of this? Because it's not like even though I think it's by Kupse standards much better, we like time box it to be like maximum 45 minutes, which is not like bad at all. It
Yeah,
just,
for 1 week, that's fine.
yeah, it's just like I rather the end of the meeting for any meeting be something that has like an outcome or some sort of decision made. Like that is to me the only way to push forward and actually justify a meeting. If you don't have a discussion in a meeting, it's pretty much like, bro, you could have just sent an email or a text or whatever. So, yeah, our team has kind of
How
shifted.
do you limit the discussion not to go beyond this 45-minute time frame?
So we actually do have like an agenda, and if we do have things that sort of derail, we just either put it like offline, like async, right? Or we just follow up with like maybe a more specialized meeting. So if there is,
Mhm.
something that is more like product focused, like, oh, this feature is not working, we're not going to spend like, 30 minutes trying to figure out how to fix that feature right now. It's just something that either comes after the meeting or something that, we will figure out like a little bit later.
Mhm.
That
Okay.
just seems to be the best way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. That was I think that was the hardest part
Yeah. I think the
because you
difference
just have
here,
one meeting that takes 4 hours.
yeah,
That's what.
the difference here is just like our team is inherently small, right? And we're not intentionally trying to like get a giant team to go like get everything. So I can still manage quite a bit from like four people. Like this is not hard at all. Like in terms of knowing what everybody's doing or what to do next, right? It's still like fairly cohesive. You can still like implement basically only one level down. It's not like hard to communicate, right? You can still set up meetings one-on-one with people, and it's not like you don't talk to someone in a week. Yeah. But with that being
Sure.
said, everybody has to work pretty hard to get stuff out.
What's so is this a full-time thing for all of you guys?
No. So, to give some context, I'm doing it full time. My sister is actually one of the other members, so she's more of the front facing. So she's
Cool.
fixing more of like she's doing her exams right now. She's kind of taking hiatus, but we will, she's like managed our entire social media up until now. So we've had like Instagram posts. That's also why we're not like posting right now because she's literally taking exams. But we're gonna resume. We're gonna have quite a bit more, and then somebody else is working at Microsoft and then another person's working like somewhere else. I don't actually know. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Are they based in your time zone or
No,
the state?
no one's based in my time zone. We're all in different time zones. So if I understand this correctly, my sister is in like Brunei, which is Singapore time zone. I'm in Bangkok time, so 1 hour behind. Uh, my Microsoft friend, she's in East Coast, New Jersey, like she's in New York right now. And then
Cool.
the other guy, the other product dev guy, he's like not on the East Coast. He's like a little bit later than East Coast, but not West Coast. So it's kind of like our meetings. That's also why we were like realistically looking at our meetings. We're like, this is just not sustainable because not only do you have like people working, but I think realistically we find only like time zones that are like 6 a.m. meetings for them. Like it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I heard from a friend who's a digital nomad, you can call him that, who
Yeah.
moves in between Georgia and Thailand. And in Thailand, he goes there for the winter, and then
Yeah.
summer he comes back to Georgia because it gets too hot there. And
Yeah.
he says Thailand has the worst time zone if you're working with pretty much any of the like major like developed zones besides China and maybe Singapore.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fair statement. Realistically though, I'm only like 13 hours ahead of EST. So it's not like weird, I think. I think it's like fairly
Sure.
manageable, but it's not
Mm.
12 hours ahead. Um, I think when it gets weird is if you have like someone on the East Coast, someone on the West Coast, and then someone like in the Eastern Asian time. Like that just screws so much up like
Yeah.
immediately, right? Because you can never really find a great time. Um,
I
yeah,
remember the 4 a.m. calls that I had. I remember that.
yeah, it just doesn't work, man. Like, I'm sorry. Like, there is a limit to how we can like realistically have a meeting. But even then, like, it's just how can you like even if you had it, if even if you could do the meetings, it's like what are you doing during the meetings? That's really what's important, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I
Yeah.
think that's a good approach. So you mentioned social media. I saw a Discord with a
Yes.
lot of members. Is
Yeah.
that your Discord? Tell me about that.
That is a separate Discord. So while I'm working on Tilden, which is like travel, all this sort of stuff, I kind of went like ninja mode and just looked at other Discords to like either cop out and like understand who is like selling what do people really want, right? And so I
Yeah.
kind of got into this Discord called Discord Travelers, which is like I think the like third largest travel Discord like for the entire world.
Okay.
And for whatever
It's big.
reason, like I kind of just worked up the ranks like a couple months ago where I was like first the helper, and then all of a sudden I'm like moderator, and now I'm fucking admin to the entire thing. So
Wow.
it's like,
Nice.
how did this happen in a couple months? But in any case, like the reason why I made that post on Insta is because, like, now that I'm admin, I was like only just became admin last week. I want to see if there's any ways to like make the Discord better. But so far, we're still trying to figure that out. So it's just like another thing sprinkled in that's very tangential
I,
to,
I think
yeah.
I think the number one benefit from that is that you're able to look at what problems a customer base like yours has in terms of travel. I think it gives you a good advantage in that. Would you say?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think so. I mean, I see a lot of AI startups. It's kind of, but I think there's certainly it's weird to me how there's so many discords asking the same questions. Um, like they're literally asking for help, like, oh, these types of things. Like, what do you recommend? What should I do here? Blah 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 blah. And like people go so far as to like write their entire itinerary for them, so it's like a gold mine of information, at least for me, to kind of like grasp
Yeah.
and see how are people really interacting. And there's a variety of age groups. It is a little bit biased towards like younger groups because I think older people go to like Facebook groups. But I would say it's like a decent size of people that like are at least focused or interested in the topic at hand. So it's like for you if you had like specifically people that are just interested in like Kuwaiti finance, like
Yeah.
this is like the equivalent. Maybe it's not like fintech entirely, but it's just people that are interested in that like specific topic. Like it's
Yeah. No, this is great.
yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. Yeah, so like there's stuff like that. I think, I just recently did a soft launch as you humbly already critiqued. Oh my gosh, man. I'm looking at this and I'm just like, design is what it is. I think it's good to launch because like we are in that point where we can just keep on iterating, but then it just comes out to, oh well, this is either useful or not, or this design is trash to people, like to certain people, and it's perfect for others. Like it's just really hard to find that middle way. Design is so hard.
So is this it's what I got from it, the vibe is
Yeah.
a notion for travel.
Yes, it is. It is that for sure. But I think, like you said before, with like integrations and stuff, that is where we want to move to. So a great example of like two features that we just got, like we didn't even include, but we had it in the previous version, was the ability to take any event that you had and like actually auto schedule it into your like pre-existing calendar. So if you had, I don't know, you're going to like Istanbul and you have like all these events that you actually already like know you want to go to, but you don't know the order. We actually like sorted all of that for you, and we just didn't include it to this. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
that's what I thought was kind of missing because you have those events in order. You
yeah.
could really put them in order of time. That's great.
Yes, yes.
Useful.
And then another thing is like the ability to take ChatGPT results and then store it into like actual cards into the platform. So that's like these are things that will be on the roadmap coming up because we just need to make slight tweaks here and there to make sure that that's possible. Yeah.
It's something I've seen Chinese travel platforms tackle really well, where basically within the same trip to Hong Kong, I got the flight on Ctrip, I
Mhm.
got my taxi on Ctrip, I
Yeah.
got my hotel on Ctrip, and then I got the restaurant bookings all done through Ctrip, and I could see my whole itinerary there. And then I was
Yeah.
like, why is this missing on pretty much any other platform in the West? Besides the fact that it's more fractured, but
Yeah.
still they could have some sort of integration. I guess that's what you will build.
I to a certain degree, yes. I think it's hard to place exactly like where I'm kind of the mindset that like there's actually two stages to planning, right? There's a pre-plan where you're like doing this before all the trips. You would book all these things before the trip, and then there's things that are afterward, like Google Flights, Open Table, Expedia. Like they're kind of the same equivalent to Ctrip,
Yeah.
right? And it's maybe certain smaller segments, and they do like allow you to book like a variety of things, but in like the event that you're like really trying to take multiple platforms and put them together, that's hard. And then when you're during the trip, like what is the most important information, right? Like that's weirdly what's hard enough for people. I have people that are like, yeah, I use like fucking Dropbox to like sort all my documents, and then like I just go to the place and then I don't know like where my documents are, like for the details for maybe this specific place. And then the whole sharing thing is like completely shit. Like you we probably like even if you're on Ctrip,
Yeah.
how much can you really share with somebody else from the account point of view? Like I've seen it,
Well, I
it's
mean,
not that great, you know?
Ctrip is pointless. I mean, they probably have some good WeChat integration, but it's pointless because it's so far away from the rest of the world. It's a
Yeah.
closed loop system.
My point is
So
there's so much like to fix, but we're going to take it one step at a time because there's just so much. So I think the first thing is like an ingestion engine. Like what can we take to accumulate and like put into one place, right? That's like the Notion aspect. Then it's really going to be like, how do you execute? How do you optimize on the schedule? How do you like show things that are more visual, that are more important at the time that you need to see them? That sort of stuff is where we'll start as a foundation, and then the
yeah, I think
integrations.
it's a great. I think it's a great problem that a lot of people have, and I think you're on the right track. Like
Yeah,
honestly, this whole feedback is just like I don't believe in saying like talking about how great things are for like a obscene amount of time. I
yeah,
want to get straight to the point of how to improve things, but
right.
like yeah, just overall, I think this is a very cool idea that I think has a lot of potential and so
Yeah, we're going to change a lot of our
great.
processes to be much faster though, because it's taken some while to like even produce what we have, and it's there's a variety of reasons, but we have ways to fix them. So I plan to get to a pretty quick update for things that like need to be fixed, right? And then also like more features. So it's going to be there very soon. Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited
I
for the
definitely
updates.
want to
I'm
hear
gonna
more
keep
about
this.
Kevin when it's ready, dude. Like,
Okay.
yeah.
It's so we're gonna release to the App Store and Android Store tomorrow.
Hmm.
Fingers crossed. There's still some shit happening last minute, as you know it always does. But yeah, tomorrow is the release, and I'm gonna send the application to you to try it out.
Hmm.
We put it
Okay.
on the international app store for pretty much anyone to download.
How
So
how would you be able to specify like specifically to Kuwaitis though? Like, is there like a bank number, or is that how it's
phone
um,
numbers.
phone numbers?
Yeah, phone numbers for the most part. And then we ask for your ID to verify if you want to withdraw your money. If you want to take money out of your account, then
Hmm.
you need to go to
That
verification.
makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Is it only mobile from what it sounds like? Because it's App Store, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, I mean
Yeah.
Kuwait is just like any emerging market. Like
All
they
mobile.
jump through the computer job
Yeah.
adoption straight to mobile. So
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Man, time flies. We're like at a minute left, but I feel like there's a lot of updates that we'll have, and we can discuss them next week with Errol. But yeah,
yeah,
dude, like we should chat more about these things
for sure.
going forward, especially for podcasts and whatnot.
Let's maybe for next week I could go over like a little walkthrough of the application. Get your
Yes.
that would be really
Yes.
great.
I
That would
love
be
that.
fun.
I love to see it. Yeah. All
I'll
right.
invite Seth and Zane
Okay.
if that's cool. I think that
Sure.
would be great. They really like the last podcast, so
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Okay. Cool, man.
great, great.
Yeah.
See you, man. Bye bye.
Okay.